Welcome to Vacation Rental Mastery, where your host, Karan Narang, guides you through harnessing vacation rental investments. Whether you're new to vacation rentals or expanding your portfolio, this podcast fuels your path to freedom. Join us in this movement to transform your life. Ready for change and legacy building? You're in the right place. Let's embark on this freedom journey and master vacation rental investing together.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Vacation Rental Mastery Podcast. We have the coach Trevor McGregor with us here today, and his friends like to call him Coach T. So, welcome, Coach T. Tell us more about yourself. Tell us who you are and what you like to do.
Oh, well, first of all, thank you for having me. And I'll tell you, yes, people call me Coach T because I am a coach. I am a high performance, peak performance, master platinum business coach and strategist. And I'm also a real estate investor. And my claim to fame is I've done over 40,000 coaching sessions. And yes, that's an actual statistic, helping people all over the US, Canada, the UK, Asia, Australia, really close that gap from where they are to where they truly want to be in business, in life, and really in what we call the 5 freedoms. And I know we're going to get into that in just a bit, but it's my passion. I love it. I split my time between Vancouver, Canada and Byron Bay, Australia. So my wife and I and our 3 children live internationally, and we wouldn't have it any other way. And we've worked hard to get to that place.
Oh, that's absolutely spectacular. First and foremost, congratulations on the 40,000 hours of coaching. That's unbelievable. As a coach myself, I sit here and wonder, how much time is it going to take me to make that kind of impact myself? 40,000 coaching sessions. Unbelievable. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. And again, I was blessed to get a head start by working with the man, the myth, the legend. Yes, Tony Robbins. In fact, when I went to work for Tony, that's really where I cut my teeth and coached millionaires and billionaires and, Fortune 500 executives and a lot of doctors, a lot of attorneys. And it's been a labor of love watching them go from, maybe holding that W-2 position or doing something to even, extraordinary epic proportions. And I've had a front row seat for a lot of that. And that's really what I'm here to help you do with the listener, is really shine the light on, where they are, where they could be, and how you can help them close that gap.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much for it. And I've been blessed to have you be my high performance coach, you helping me through this journey. Just to give you a little background about myself, as I've gone through the journey myself, coming from nothing, with very little, when I first came to the US about 22 years ago, to that whole journey of going through my immigration process, going through the process of actually, having the money to buy my first home, growing my wealth to a point that I could actually go in and start my investments. I was fortunate enough to have this one conversation with a person about 3.5 years ago that allowed me to go in and buy these vacation rentals. And today, sitting here about 4 years later, I've got a portfolio of vacation rentals that's allowed me to secure these freedoms. We call them freedoms, essentially what every human being wants. And, this is what, your specialty is, helping people achieve these freedoms. We call them, the 5 freedoms. I like to put financial freedom at the very end of it, because to me, it is the freedom that actually acts as the lubricant that allows us to put all the other freedoms in motion, right? The other 4 freedoms are the wheels of this car, and the money or the financial freedom is the lubricant. So we got time freedom, we got location freedom, we got relational freedom, and we got impact freedom, right? And when we put these 4 together in this race car and lubricate it with the wealth we are creating and building, it allows us to take things to the next level. And I'm really looking forward to this conversation, because I think our listeners will be able to hear from yourself talking about these freedoms. This is so critical for every one of us. If we narrow down everything we do every waking hour of the day, this is what we're all striving to do. If you break it down to its most basic form, hey, you know what? I'm going to work today. Why am I going to work? Because I want to create a certain type of life. I'm investing in this property because I want to create this certain type of life. It's these 5 freedoms that we all boil things down to. And I do believe that this is key to the basic essence of human beings. So talk to us a little more about these freedoms.
Oh my gosh, boy, did you ever set that up beautifully, and you're spot on because again, it's universal. It doesn't matter if you're in America or Canada or the UK or some of these other areas geographically. If you really ask anybody on the street, they want more time freedom. They'd love to travel more. They'd love to impact the world more. They'd love to, spend time with higher level people because you become who you hang around with. We call that relational freedom. And then that final one that you talk about, the lubricant, the financial freedom, that is like the gas or the juice or the rocket fuel that allows you to go out there and live, perhaps a better life than you're living now. So the very first thing I want to say is, to the listener, how hungry are you for more of that? Are you wanting to settle for an appetizer, and that is kind of work your W-2 and eke out a living that's okay? Or are you ready for the full buffet where you can literally lean into real estate as one of the vehicles that helps you to close the gap of that financial freedom that then allows you to have that rocket fuel or juice to go out there and have the time freedom, the location freedom, the impact freedom, and the relational freedom. So for anybody that's listening, as we even start this conversation, I believe, Karan, that we're all meant to go big. I believe that, we've been put here on purpose and with purpose to learn, to live, to laugh, to love, to grow, to share, and to help our fellow man and woman do the same thing. And it's really all about growing. Because as my coach, Tony Robbins, says, if a plant isn't growing, ultimately what's happening to it? Well, we know it's dying. And we don't want to die. We don't even want to survive. It's guys like you and I and our families that want to thrive and help other people do the same. So how would you speak to all of that?
What's very interesting, I want to narrow down on this one thing. You spoke about, the juice and the rocket fuel to take things in our lives to the next level. I get this question all the time. Hey, why do we need so much money? Why is it required? Why do you need more? Why do you need less? And I always tell people, I say, the only person who doesn't realize that, that money doesn't matter. When people say, hey, I don't need any more money, it doesn't bring any more happiness. It's because they haven't created a significant enough impact. They haven't given away enough. They have not been able to change people's lives. And honestly, that's the biggest thing. We can all sit here and talk about, hey, I can go to the woods and do nothing and live my life, and I can eat berries and just survive. Or listen, I can go out there, I can build as much wealth as I want, as much as I can, in order to impact the lives, hundreds, if not thousands more, lives around the world, and really create an impact. And to me, that's the biggest driver, right? Obviously, we want to build the quality of life that we all want. That's great. But if you can do it 100x, so you can impact 100 more lives along with that and their families, that impact is huge.
Yeah, I absolutely love that you said that. And it's really, the money is a way to keep score, and the money is a way to help more people, right? And Tony Robbins used to have this great quote. He used to say, the best way to help the poor isn't to be one of them, right? And I always laugh at that, but it's really true because money won't make you happy, but it can give you the opportunity to go out there and live at a higher level and do the things that you might not be able to do without it. And I also believe, after being a real estate investor, since 2003 now, myself and my wife, that real estate is one of the greatest wealth vehicles on the planet that can help you literally close that gap from wherever you are to where you want to be. Now, some people want to get to a net worth of $1 million. Some listening might want to be 5 million or 10 million or 20 or 50 or 100 or $1 billion. It's really different strokes for different folks, right? It doesn't mean that you have to have, as much money as Elon Musk or Richard Branson to be happy. It could literally be something, but you've got to really think about what I call, what are your A goals, what are your B goals, and what are your C goals? So let's unpack that for a minute, because your A goal is you going out there and doing something that is kind of like, yeah, I could easily achieve this if I really put my mind to it. A B goal is a real stretch from the A. It's like up a lot where, man, if I could ever get to this many doors or get to this net worth or be able to travel this much a year with my beautiful family, that would be incredible. And then you've got the C goals. And the C goals are the real top of the ladder. We call those the big, hairy, audacious goals where, man, if you could achieve a certain number or you could achieve a certain lifestyle, or if you could make a certain level of impact of something that's near and dear to your heart, what would you do before you leave this planet? So I'm a big believer, Karan, that we need A goals, we need be goals, and we also need to start dreaming again. I mean, God put what we call creative codes into us. So everybody that's listening to this actually is a creative individual. The question is, are they going to find the opportunity that is literally like, vacation rental mastery, or investing in something where you create impact and money becomes the byproduct of that impact, right? You are an expert at this. So you've done it, I don't know how many times successfully, and taught so many people how to do it. And I really do believe that anybody that is working in a W-2, or anybody that's a professional, or anybody that's relying on a single stream of income, that model's broken. What are you doing to create a second string of income, a third string of income, right? So that you can literally start having these rivers of money flow to you in avalanches of abundance. So all of that is really what this conversation is about. And it's not just us talking to the listener, it's us talking with the listener to see, again, what do they need to do? Who do they need to be? And how do they need to show up to take what we call intelligent and inspired action? And I want to say that again, because intelligent and inspired action is really where intelligent means smart, and inspired means because they get to, not because they have to. So I know that's a lot there, but how would you say, or speak to all of that there?
No, you bring up a very important point, right? There's a lot of people who are sitting on the sidelines, who are sitting there waiting for a miracle to happen, right? We know those don't happen, right? So I'll give you my own example. 3.5 years ago, when I started investing in vacation rentals, I spoke to several people. I tried to ask people, how do you do this? How do we invest in this? What are the tax savings? How can I shelter my W-2 income taxes, which is the highest earned dollar? It's the most expensive dollar I will ever earn, right? And people wouldn't talk to me. My very first deal that I lost out actually has ended up costing me over 7 figures, right?
Wow.
Over $1 million in costs, because I did not take the intelligent and inspired action. I didn't find the inspiration because I didn't find the right people. And I wasn't intelligent enough. I didn't have the wisdom. I didn't have people coaching me. I didn't have people telling me how I could take things and really execute things and put them in the right place. Cost me 7 figures, over $1 million, 4 years ago. This is exactly why, I started coaching people. Over the last 3 years, I've coached about 40 people, high income professionals, average purchase price of their real estate about $1 million. So about $40 million in real estate that they've purchased, and they're very successful individuals, right? They've been able to shelter taxes. They've been able to shelter all their income. They've been able to make significant cash flow. Real estate, again, vacation rentals is probably one of the highest cash flow asset classes in real estate today, right? Even with the current interest rates, even with the state of the economy and the pricing that there is today, short-term rentals or vacation rentals are still crushing it, right? This is the reason 4 years later I've been able to quit my very high-paying W-2 job and get into this full-time, sustain my lifestyle, continue to build my life, continue to grow my businesses, and honestly get to this point. This is my action towards, my inspired action towards making an impact in the community, right? So we launched Vacation Rental Mastery. Vacation Rental Mastery is a platform that offers multiple types of courses. There's a 12-week accelerator, there's a pre-recorded course, there's one-on-one coaching, there's different masterminds. This is a platform where you can come in, and regardless of what level you're at, whether you're beginning, whether you are an experienced investor looking to grow, whether you're just dipping your toes in it and want to be a little more educated, there's something for everyone where you can educate yourself, and then you have no reason not to take that inspired action. That's the whole goal of Vacation Rental Mastery. And that's really what we're trying to achieve, to create that mass impact. When I look at this and I say, hey, I've coached 40 people in the last 3 years. That was one-on-one coaching, and I've impacted, let's say, about 200 lives, right? 40 people, their families, and then, their friends or whatever, but indirectly, at least 200 people. But with Vacation Rental Mastery, the goal is to take this out to the masses, to go and impact hundreds, if not thousands of people every year, because this is something that needs to be shared. This is something that every one of us deserves. It has been a game changer for me to get into vacation rentals. It's been a game changer for me to truly take this. Today I spend 10 to 12 weeks a year traveling the world with my family. My kids are 9, 9, and 11, and they've been to 26 countries.
Wow.
Last year in 2023 alone, we traveled to 11 countries. That's location freedom. That's time freedom. That's financial freedom, right? And it's relationship freedom. If I choose not to work with someone, I don't have to work with them. It's not something I need to do for a paycheck. I choose to be with people who inspire me, who make me wiser. I choose to people who have a positive impact on my life, and that's the freedom, right? And what I'm trying to do now is to try and share these freedoms, share how I've secured these freedoms through the Vacation Rental Mastery Program with the masses.
Well, that's incredible. And again, I get goosebumps hearing your story. And of course, I know your story because we've worked together for a long time. But if there's one thing I want the listener to really get out of that is success leaves clues. You want to write that down, people. Success leaves clues, because you don't have to go through all of the things that he had to go through to get to this place where he's dialed in his, short-term rentals and really created systems that support those, so that him and his wife and his kids can go out there and experience everything that this beautiful blue planet has to offer. And to be quite honest, we've done the same thing. Last week I was in Australia. Today I'm in Canada.
Yeah.
Next week I travel to the United States. And the week after that, we're in Cancun, Mexico. And I don't say that to beat on my chest. I say that because for anyone who isn't just interested, but committed to following in the path of Karan or myself, this is where the rubber meets the road, because as you and I both know, it all boils down to two things. The first thing is mindset, right? And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. And the other one is having a recipe, a roadmap, a blueprint, or a GPS that takes you from where you are to where you want to be. But what I love about what you do is you help turn decades into days. I mean, why would anyone want to take 10 years to figure out, vacation rental mastery, when you can help them do it either in your pre-recorded course or your one-on-one coaching, because both of them are fantastic. And as people know, we run in very similar circles to a lot of doctors, attorneys, corporate people, VPs of companies who really wake up one day and go, you know what? I'm no longer interested. I'm committed. And it's a course like yours that really puts them on the fast track to really closing that gap. So as we unpack all of this, are you ready to talk a little bit about mindset and maybe what prevents people from doing it? And then we'll talk a little bit more about strategy as well, because those are the 1-2 punch that really accelerates people's freedoms. What do you think of that?
100%. Mindset has been, it's been a game changer for me, because when I shifted my focus to the mindset, it made things so much easier. I want to believe, and for the same reason that I didn't take action sooner, I want to believe that people don't take action for one of three reasons, right? One, they do not know enough. They know a little bit, but they don't know enough, and they're very uncertain. Two, when you are uncertain about things, decision-making becomes really hard. Decision-making during uncertainty is very hard. And that's where the step 3 comes in, is they never had anyone show them the path. They did not. If you have someone show you the path, and like you said, success leaves clues.
Yep.
If you have someone to show you the path, if they are able to help you make those decisions because they bring certainty into those decisions, you have no reason now not to take action and truly change your life. So you're absolutely right. The mindset is the true game changer. If you can dial in your mindset, you can change your life.
That's it. And what I would stack on top of that is, I don't know if people know this, but we have roughly 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day. Now get your heads around this. 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day is what scientists have discovered. And would you believe that 75 to 85% of those thoughts are negative or are survival based? So when you want to do something new, like, get into real estate, or you want to expand or scale in real estate, you have this little protection mechanism, right, in your brain that's really there to keep you safe. Because number one, we've all got fear. We've all got doubt. We've all got worry. We've all got anxiety anytime we want to change something. So the very first thing you got to understand that, for most people, change is hard for only one reason, and that is because it's unfamiliar to us. Right? So when we can find somebody like you or find somebody like me that's already kind of blazed the path or started on the trail, the very first thing we got to go back to is we had to get over our doubt, our fear, our worry, and our anxiety, right? And that's no different than somebody that's trying to become a singer, a painter, an Olympic athlete, a sports hero, because we all have that time in our life where we'll say, well, I'm different, or I'm too old, or I'm not educated enough, or fill in the excuse here, because really there's only 3 types of fear. And I'm going to recap all of them right now, because the very first one is what we call the fear of failure, right? If I try, I could fail doing my real estate stuff. And I think everybody is probably pretty familiar with that. Let's go to number 2, because number 2, Karan, is really, what if people make fun of me or they don't like my decision to get into real estate, right? They'll say, what? You're a doctor, you're a professional. Why don't you just stay in your lane and do what you do best? And you're like, well, no, I really think this real estate thing could help me go further faster. And then you hear about their Uncle Bob, who had a disastrous, story in real estate. And all of a sudden they say boo, and you kind of shut down and you contract. So if number 1 is the fear of failure and number 2 is the fear of criticism, let's go to number 3, the final one, because that is really the fear of feeling unworthy. It's like, I'm not worthy of another income stream. I'm not worthy of having property. I'm not worthy of, literally leaving my little state to go out there and invest, somewhere else in the US. And it's a self-worth, self-esteem thing where you've got to get over that. And the way to get over all those 3 fears, as you know, is really bringing in one of the natural laws of the universe. And it's called the law of polarity. The law of polarity. And the listener will want to write this down, because the law of polarity is like the law of gravity. I mean, you jump off the roof of your house, you're going to go down. That's a law. Well, the law of polarity decrees or means that you can't have one thing on this planet without the polar opposite also being available. And I'll tell you why this is important, because you can't have day without night. You can't have black without white. You can't have masculine energy without feminine energy. You can't have the North Pole without the South Pole. So what does this have to do with anything? Well, if we bring the law of polarity back to those 3 fears, here's what it looks like now. Because if we go back to number 1, if I try, I could fail. Well, that becomes, well, if you try, you could be wildly successful like Karan, right? Or number 2, what if people don't like your idea or they criticize you? Well, what if they love your idea? What if they cheerlead you and champion you into building your empire of short-term rentals? And number 3, guys, come on. If you're feeling unworthy, that must mean that there's a potential for you to feel worthy. And I've never met a real estate investor or an entrepreneur or somebody that really wanted to, get out of whatever they were in and climb the ladder of success that didn't feel that hard work, that decision-making, the investment to hire coaches and do that propels that worthiness to where you start climbing the steps of that and you start to feel worthy of now being able to travel, now being able to tithe, or, look after something that's near and dear to your heart, take care of your family, attend more, conferences and meetups, because that high tide lifts all boats. So I'm getting long in the tooth here, but I'm telling you, if you've got fear of failure, fear of criticism, or fear of unworthiness, that's a good thing, because now we've given you a tool to see what's on the other side of that. Karan, what do you think of that?
100%. And I'll tell you what, there's no bigger coach than going in and doing this the first time. The first time you do this and you get over that fear, the first time you get to do this and really experience that other polar opposite of these fears that you're talking about, that's when things really start, the snowball begins. That's when you truly start picking up steam, because you now experienced or tasted that success, right? So it's that first time, it's that fear. Once you get over that hump, and again, what I've always found, which is crazy, is that the cost of inaction is often way bigger than the cost of action. Let's say you bought a property for $500,000 today, okay? You have the potential of saving and making, let's say, $200,000 over the next 3 years in tax savings and revenue and profits and all that stuff. What's the downside, or the potential downside? The cost of inaction is that $200,000. The cost of action, let's say you took that action, and let's say what's the worst case scenario? The property value is not going down $200,000 or 40%, right? So the cost of action is often much less the cost of inaction. And people don't realize this until they truly take that action and see the results. And 99% of times, if you are truly taking that intelligent and inspired action, your chance of success is not 90%, it is 100%. Because you're educated, you've surrounded yourself with the right kind of people, you're in the right community, you're with the right coaches, you've got the right people around you to ensure that success. So,
That's so good.
Taking action is so important.
I love it. I love it. And what you're reminding me of there, my friend, is really, there are only 4 little words, and believe it or not, they all start with the letter S that lead to success. And so let's unpack them, because it really speaks to the mindset. It really speaks to, taking that action. And let's kick it off with number 1, which is what we call your state, or your state management.
Yeah.
And state management for people is really their focus. And most people are focused on why something might not work, instead of focusing on what will work and finding a coach or a mentor to help them point in that direction. So you got to check in with your state. And again, state is focus. Are you focused on what you don't want? We call that a moving away from modality. Or do you need to shift to focus on what you do want and start moving towards it? Does that one make sense?
Oh, absolutely. And this was honestly what I saw is, 3.5 years ago when I started investing. When I started truly moving towards it, what happens is it slowly picks up that momentum.
Yes.
As long as if you're moving in the right direction, you're almost going to feel the strong magnetic field pulling you in that right direction and taking you towards those goals you want to achieve. So as long as you start moving towards it, you start picking up that speed and momentum for sure.
So spot on, my man. So spot on. That brings us to number 2, which is your story. And your story is really your identity. Right? And your identity is either you're going to be a victim to all the reasons why you can't do short-term rentals, but you could also choose to be a victor on your way to victory, right? And if we walk down any street in America, we'll hear people saying, here's why I can't do this or do that or do that. Interest rates, the government, I'm working 2 jobs, I've got a family, insert excuse here. Well, that's not what high performers do. High performers step out of being a victim and start thinking like a victor so that they can literally start moving towards what they want. So if you change your state and your story, what's possible from there before we go to that third S? What do you think?
Yeah, what's been really interesting for me is, things changed the day I started changing the way I phrased the question. Can I do this? And I just said, how can I do this? And right as soon as I changed how I framed that question, it changed the way I thought or approached any of these things. And it truly made me say, how can I make this happen? I've actually started applying this to almost everything in life. Now, it doesn't matter whether it's real estate, doesn't matter if it is any other sort of investments, doesn't matter if it is, somewhere I want to take my kids to the park and my schedule's busy, whatever it is, right? Instead of saying, can I do this? It's how can I make this happen? How can I do this? And just that one switch has been life changing.
That's so good, my man. And again, change your question, change your life. But it starts with your focus and your identity. The third of the 4 S's is what we call your standards, right? So if we've got state, story, and standards, your standards are really, what level are you committing to play at? What is it that you are, tired of, where you've maybe plateaued and it's time to raise the bar or draw that line in the sand and step over that line in terms of your personal growth or finances or marriage or even your health or your parenting. There's many applications that we can run these S's through. But for a lot of people, when you raise your standards of what you're no longer willing to settle for and you get a new vision of what you're willing to step into, I'm telling you, that's when the universe starts to bring you the tools that will help you to do it. The coaches, the properties, the broker, the money. I mean, every single thing that you think is going to be hard, the universe already has an answer or a way to support it. But if you don't change your state, your story, and your standards, you're really not going to be able to move to the 4th S. So before we go there, what do you think of the word standards? And I got to give you credit where credit's due. You get up early, you stay up late, you spend time with your family, you travel the world, you're always on, Zoom and coaching calls and podcasts trying to get this message out there. How is raising your standard of no longer settling for a W-2 but stepping into this world of entrepreneurship and real estate changed your life?
Oh, it's been so good, to be honest with you. And I'll tell you, the biggest impact, for me, has been, the time and the quality time I get to spend with my family and my kids.
Wow.
I
Wow.
get to wake up every morning and I say, hey, you know what? What am I going to do today? Hey, I'm going to talk to Coach Trevor today, or I'm going to be on a podcast today, or I'm going to interview someone, or I'm going to go see a property. These are choices, and choices is power, right?
Yes.
When I have choices, I have the power to choose, which means I get to decide what my life looks like. I no longer am slave to a paycheck. I'm no longer slave to being, at a desk job at 9 a.m. I'm no longer on this, company Zoom call at 8 a.m. in the morning. So, I like to tell people, I say, I get to decide what I do today. And some days, I just hang out with my kids and have fun. And some days I, work hard and stay up late and wake up early. But either way, the biggest thing is, that when you are an entrepreneur, when you've cut off that paycheck, when you're moving forward towards building your own life, you own your life, your
That's right.
destiny, and your future, and that is priceless. I quit my job about 4 months ago, right? And again, I had a great job. Again, I give credit where it's due. It was really good to me. It was a good job, but I quit the job and I feel liberated.
Yeah.
My brain is set free to decide what I want to do, when I want to do, how I want to do it. And that's why this whole message, all of a sudden I felt this sense of urgency to get this message out to everyone else, get this message out to people, because it was life-changing for me. And for people who have kids, if you don't know this, 80% of the time you will spend with your kids in your lifetime is spent between year 1 or 0 and 10.
Yeah.
By the time they're 10, 80% of that time is done, because after that, they're spending less and less time with you.
Yeah.
What's that time worth to you? Do you want to get it back? Do you want to have fun doing it? Do you want to build a legacy doing it? Right? And that's what this is all about. This whole vacation rental mastery is becoming a master, not just going and buying a short-term rental. I know people who've got 10 short-term rentals and their life is miserable.
Yep.
Because it is work. Don't get it wrong. There's no free lunches here, right? It
Yep.
is a lot of work, but if you put in the right systems and processes and get the right people in the right seats, there's no reason you can still live a liberated life, enjoy all the freedoms, and still build an empire and build a legacy that lasts generations.
So good, my man. So good. And I love your story. And, there's probably some people out there listening that maybe they like what they do, but maybe they want to go 0.75 or halftime, or have options to eventually go no time and go out there and do what you and I do. So again, at the
Yeah.
end of the day, I love that. So let's recap, because we've got your state, which is your focus, your story, which is your identity, your standards, which is you choosing what level you want to play at and raising the bar. And you've teed up the fourth S so beautifully, Karan, because that is your strategy. Yes, your strategy. That is, what is the recipe, the roadmap, the blueprint, or the GPS that's going to take you from where you are to where you want to be. But I always tell people as a high performance coach that you just can't go out there and execute any strategy without first changing your state, your story, and your standards. Because if you can knock out those first 3 S's, my goodness, by the time you get to that strategy, or you find the right coach, the right teacher, the right mentor, the facilitator, the one that's already done what it is you're trying to do, that's where we literally turn decades into days, and we can optimize and maximize you. And it's crazy to see where people could be in as little as 6 months, or a year, or 2 or 3 or 5. And I always say that, think about how quickly time goes by now. I mean, gosh, we blink and a couple, 2, 3 months has gone by. Well, as you get older, the years start to go by quickly, and we're all going to arrive somewhere in the next 5 years. Where would you like to arrive? And do you have the recipe, the roadmap, the blueprint, or the GPS that's going to get you there? Or do you need to find somebody again who's already done and mastered what it is you're trying to do? And that's where I see this guy on the other end of this interview here. And I'm telling you, I've coached so many people, but he absolutely ranks number 1 in go-to for anybody that I've got doing short-term rentals. And I'm telling you, you don't want to walk, you want to run and find this man's help, because he's the guy that can help you with all 4 of those S's. What do you think there, Captain?
Thank you, Coach T. Coming from you, that means a lot. Again, I try to give it, to coach people. I try to help people with heart. I'm trying to make sure they don't have to go through the effort. They can accelerate and grow much faster. It's taken
Yep.
me 4 years. I want them to do it in 4 days or 4 months or whatever it is, right? How do we give them the tools, the techniques, the processes? There's no point in reinventing it. If
Yeah.
someone came to me 10 years ago and showed me this path, where would I be today? Right?
Mhm.
Where would I have been able to take this and go? Some of my coaching clients, early coaching clients, who started 3 years ago, they already have multiple properties. They're doing so many different things, and they've really truly grown and built generational wealth. Right?
That's so good.
If I'm able to take this and make it exponential, if I'm able to help people accelerate that growth so they don't have to go figure everything out, that's a win for all of us. So that's all I strive to achieve. That's all I'm trying to do here.
Yeah, I liken it to, pro athletes. I mean, if you are interested in, say, tennis, and let's say you want to be a great tennis player or a great professional tennis player, you've got to do different things than average people, that literally are playing tennis once or twice a week, or, eating chips and not taking care of their body, or not doing the mental stuff that would allow you to prepare to become a professional. And it could be tennis, it could be football, basketball. I mean, pick any sport on the planet. These people that get to play in the big leagues have multiple coaches, right? So at the end of the day, if you don't have a coach, a teacher, a mentor, a trainer, a facilitator helping you to create systems for support, get rid of your limiting beliefs, create the plan of action, optimize your time, because if you are doing this part-time to begin with, we've got a way to help you fast track what you should be doing and what you should not be doing to help you gain momentum. So all of this stuff is literally what, coaches do. And my coach, Tony Robbins, he says that, for people that really, really want to scale in today's world, because the world's sped up so fast, we've got so much coming at us, it's more important today, or as important today, to have a coach that's going to help you close this gap as having a dentist, an auto mechanic, or someone else that you've relied on for years. But this is the thing that could really explode your results. So with that said, those are the 4 S's. And if you're interested or you're committed, and you got to decide which one you are, I'm telling you, this is a great, great asset class to get into.
Yeah, and Coach T, again, there'll be people who will listen to this. There'll be people who look at this and they'll say someday, one day, maybe, if, right? When
Yep.
they change their phrase and say, I must, I need to, I will make this happen, then it's only a short step. Once you get over that hurdle, everything becomes easier after that. Everything's much simpler. It's that mindset, it's that first decision that needs to be made to say, yes, I must make this happen. And I think as soon as they do and things start to roll, they'll learn and understand that this isn't rocket science.
Yeah.
You
Well,
just need someone to show you the path.
I think you're spot on. And 2 things come up for me as we think about that. Number one, it's like a flight of stairs, right? You don't have to see the whole staircase of how you're going to figure it out. You just need to see the first 2 steps. And when you get
Yeah.
to step 2, step 3 and 4 will be revealed to you. And then 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10. That's number
Yeah.
1. Number 2 is, I'm telling you, if you really look at people that really have accelerated their wealth, I mean, if you look at most millionaires or most multimillionaires, 90% of them have used real estate as that strategy to really, excel their net worth, or, how much money they want to move towards. And there's other ways to do it, right? You could be in the stock market, you could buy crypto, you could, do e-commerce, but I'm telling you that this is proven, right? Those other ones are pretty volatile and they're not for everybody, certainly not for the faint of heart. But what I love about real estate is it's real estate. People will always need to stay somewhere, have a roof over their head. And I'm telling you, where you are today and where you could be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, even if we go out 15 or 20 years, if you could ask your future self, think about this. If you could ask your future self, where would you like to be in the next 5, 10, 15, or 20 years? What wise advice would they give you right now about starting your short-term rental journey? I'm telling you, your future self is like your highest self and your best self. And again, we're all going to arrive somewhere in 5, 10, 15, 20 years. But this could be the thing that catapults what life looks like for you as we navigate time. What do you think of that, Karan?
100%. You know, it's that one conversation, it's that one decision, it's that one moment that changes the rest of your life. So I tell people, you know what? Make that decision to change it and take control of the rest of your life. Let today be the first day of the rest of your real life, right? Stop living the life that you always wanted to get away from. You have a choice. Make the choice, move forward, take action, right? There's nothing holding you back. It's only you. It's your mindset. Get it on the right spot. Get moving. And again, as it means, this podcast, features so many people who are so inspirational. These are all people in the real world. Any one of them is just like you and me, has gone out there, taken that first step, that first decision, that first act of saying, yes, I must make this happen. And it's changed their life. Yep. So what's holding people back? Again, I think it's that inaction. They're holding themselves back. It's the mindset. But I do hope that, people are inspired by this. People look at this and say, you know what? Maybe I need to do something. Maybe I need to move forward with something. Maybe I need to change my life, because we have the option of changing. We have the option of taking control and really making a difference.
Yeah. And that reminds me, as we get ready to wrap here, of a great quote from Mr. Jim Rohn. So if anyone doesn't know, Jim Rohn was Tony Robbins' coach. And he had this great quote, and I love using it all the time. He says, it's not the winds that blow on us that will determine where we end up. It's the set of the sail. And I just love it. I'll say it again. It's not the winds that blow on us that will determine where we end up. It's the set of the sail. And what we're trying to do is help you to set a better sail for yourself, your family, your kids, your grandchildren, your legacy. And so I'm telling you, we can all set a better sail, but I'm of the core belief that as coaches and real estate investors and family men and men of faith, that we're all better together. If you want to set a better sail, you got to find somebody to help you set that sail, because the absolute opportunity is now for you to set it the way you want it, so that you can arrive where you want, no matter how the winds blow in these next 5, 10, 20 years.
100%. Coach T, you could not have concluded this podcast in a better way. Really strong message. You dropped so much gold on our audience today. It's unbelievable. Like you said, decades into days, that's what this is all about. And folks, if you're listening to this podcast, reach out to us. If you want to reach out to Coach T, if you want to have a chat with him, absolutely spectacular gentleman. He will help you out. He'll help you grow. He's helped me tremendously, and this has been an amazing experience for me. I'm here to share everything I know about vacation rentals with you guys, everything I know about mindset, everything I've done to get here. You can do it too. And again, thank you very much. I really appreciate you being here, Coach T. And this has been absolutely spectacular. Thank you for your time today.
Well, thank you for having me on, and keep up the great work.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you for joining us on Vacation Rental Mastery. Don't forget to subscribe and tune in for our next episode, where the journey to financial freedom and lifestyle flexibility continues. Here's to your success in the exciting world of vacation rentals.